waste, whatever. And it's phenomenal. You should see the tomatoes that have grown, putting that on it.
Oh,
Not quite sure where he got it. I think that place in Brayside, but I'm not sure. That has llamas. What's their name now?
Okay, we are just started the stream, so I'll turn it over to you, Mayor Edie, whenever you want to commence.
Well, we'll call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Your Worship.
Any declaration of community interest?
Your
Sorry,
Worship.
actually calling the roll first.
Sorry. Yes. Mayor Edie,
Present.
Reeve Eamon,
Present.
Councillor Koulis,
Present.
Councillor Evans,
Present.
Councillor Hines,
Present.
Councillor Jameson, Councillor Sidney.
Present.
We have a quorum, Mayor Edie.
Thank you. Any declaration of community interest in the general nature thereof?
Your Worship,
Yes.
I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest for item B1 under the finance and admin portion of the meeting. I am the representative for the town of Renfrew on the board of Renfrew Power Generation, and as such, I perceive myself to have a conflict and won't be voting nor speaking to that issue.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Duly noted. Okay. First motion, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held electronically March 23rd, 2021 be adopted as printed. Need a mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Hines. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. That the minutes of the special council meeting held electronically March 25th, 2021 be adopted as printed. Again, a mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Reeve Eamon. Again, any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the minutes of the committee of whole meeting held electronically on April the 7th, 21 be adopted as printed. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, seconded by Councillor Koulis. Again, any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay, that's a communication from the Ministry of the Solicitor General concerning the Emergency Management of Civil Protection Act, EMCPA compliance for emergency management dated March the 30th, 2021 be received. A mover, please. Councillor Sidney, seconded by Councillor Evans. Chief Welch, did you want to say a couple words on this?
Thank you, Your Worship. This is just an acknowledgement by the Minister of our submission for compliance. Annually, we are required to provide documentation of annual training, assessment of our emergency plan, and training of our members of our emergency control group. And this past year, with the pandemic, there wasn't necessarily an expectation to provide any form of evaluation of the emergency plan. It was determined by the minister that, or the chief emergency officer, that efforts that all communities had undertaken in response to the pandemic were representative of more than an appropriate real world evaluation of our plan. And of course, that the on-the-job experience that was being achieved by members of the municipal control groups was sufficient to acknowledge their capable and competent understanding of the plan and application of that. So that won't necessarily be something we'll enjoy again this year. We are making efforts as the Emergency Planning Committee to ensure that we are up to the standards of the province, and we will continue to work towards that objective through an exercise and training process. But this was an opportunity for 1 year to be acknowledged for the efforts the town has put in.
Okay, thank you. Glad to see that's done. Any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. that the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held April the 6th, 2021 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Evans. Turn over to Councillor Hines for the report.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is our meeting of April the 6th. We did review the minutes of March 2nd, which have already been to council on March 23rd. We had a public meeting of planning to deal with the proposed temporary patio and the zoning bylaw amendment, which is before council this evening. And we'll be getting into that further, as well as the community improvement grant request that was made. As I said, we had a public meeting. All the members of the planning board were there, as well as the folks that are going to be running the patio, which are the new coffee shop, the Ottawa Valley Coffee. And this is actually the little strip of land that is owned by Rob Thompson Hotels Limited, which he owns the post office. And that land is part of the post office lands at 249 Raglan. So the folks from Ottawa Valley Coffee were online with us, and they're quite willing to work with the fire and building department to accommodate the suggestions that they have, or the expectations they have with the fire and building code regulations. And the committee we had no members of the public there to speak against it. And that was the first public meeting that we had. So as I said, that all is before you tonight and coming up in our next motion, I believe. The second part was the a second public meeting, and that was to deal with the zoning bylaw review, which will be coming to a council meeting probably in the very near future. We did have a public meeting on March the 15th via Zoom, and it was well advertised, although we had no attendees other than all of the planning committee were there, and we had a great opportunity in that time that the meeting took place, the public meeting, that we had a great opportunity to go through it page by page and understand and make our suggestions there. And of course, then we dealt with it at the public meeting, which was we had a public open house, I should say, on March 15th. And then this meeting at planning was our public meeting to deal with that. The committee is recommending that it go forward to council with the amendments that we have. And as I said, that will be coming to a committee or a council meeting in the very near future. Under new and unfinished business, as always, the planner has updated us on new and ongoing applications, and that we are starting to get some applications for patios, etc. And as you know, with that encroachment agreement, we have a very specific application that the applicants fill out, and the planner works through that, and then they're approved from there. So that relates to 9.2, which is the encroachment agreement, which has been on our agenda for some time, and as you know, has come forward to council at our last council meeting to deal with that, and it's been passed, and we're going to be working through that. We did not have anything in regard to the planning budget, as the committee of the whole was having a meeting on April the 7th, and that was to do with the review of the whole budget by all of council. So we had no really financial update at the planning meeting. And our next meeting is via Zoom again on May the 4th, and at 6 p.m. following the Committee of Adjustment. And if anyone's interested in attending, you just have to let the clerk know, and he can sign you up for a Zoom link. So any questions?
Okay, any questions or comments, council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Thank you, your worship.
Okay, next motion is the planner Withers report dated April the 8th, 2021 concerning a temporary use bylaw restaurant patio on CIP application, a planning fee grant 249 Ryden Street South be received. Mover, please. Councillor Sidney, seconded by Councillor Coolidge. Planner Withers, do you want to give a short report on this, please?
Sure, thank you, Mayor Eady. And this is pretty straightforward. I think most of council will be aware of the new coffee shop beside the post office. So given all the restrictions right now on indoor dining and outdoor dining for that matter at present, the new owners have made a request for council to consider permitting a temporary patio beside the building in the former one of the former accesses between the post office and the coffee shop, and so it's a small patio, and it'll be for up to a period of about 2 years, depending on obviously the ability. They'd like to have people inside. They have lots of space in there. Just depending on the restrictions in place, they'd like to have the opportunity to have somewhere to go outside. So that's the bylaw before council. In regards to the CIP grant, it's very simply, it's an $1,100 amendment typically, and they've applied for relief. They're a new business, and they're asking for council support in eliminating roadblocks to moving their business forward. So we're recommending approval of both of those items.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Sidney.
Thank you. It's not necessarily a question, it's more of a comment. I'm really happy to see this come to council. You know, I'm sure we've all seen the store and seen the coffee shop, and I think we'll all agree it's a nice addition to our downtown. I think this patio is going to be even an add-on to that positive addition to our downtown. I also want to thank Planner Withers and the staff for working with Lisa and Josh on this. They're great people. They're a great addition to Renfrew. I'm really glad that they chose Renfrew. And I think if we all agree that they've set a bit of a new standard for new businesses coming into town with the look and the feel, and they've already engaged in the community and been a part of the community, and they already have almost 1,600 followers on social media. So they're a going concern, and I'm really happy to see this come to council, and I hope we support it, because I think it's something that's very much needed and very much welcoming. So thank you, Planner Withers, for working with them on this.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. I'd just like to echo what Councillor Sidney said. It's always nice to see a new adventure happening in town, and I think this is being right in central town like that. It's going to be well used, I'm sure. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now the motions. The bylaw 22-2021 being a temporary use bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, the use of buildings and structure in the town of Renfrew pursuant to section 239 of the Planning Act with respect to the property located at 249 Ryden Street South, described as lot 15 and 16, Plan 3, Inner Renfrew, County of Renfrew, roll number 4748 000-035-10400 be read a first time and deemed to have been read a second time. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Sidney. Again, any questions or comments on this? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. The bylaw 22-2021 being a temporary use bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, the use of buildings and structure within the town of Renfrew pursuant to section 39 of the Planning Act with respect to the property located at 249 Raglan Street South, described as Lot 15 and 16, Plan 3, County of Renfrew, roll number 4748-000-035-10400, read a third time and be passed. Over, please. Councillor Sidney, seconded by Ray Vimo. Again, any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. This is, Revimo has declared on this item, so whereas Renfrew, excuse me, whereas Renfrew Power Generation Incorporated.
Excuse me, Mayor Edie, did we do the motion for the CIP, approval of the CIP grant?
No.
If, it should be there. If it's not, I can certainly read it.
What was the number of it?
It was the one, it's number 9, the one immediately after the third reading of bylaw 22.
Get a second here. Got 5, I got 6, 7, 8. Sorry, I don't seem to have 9.
Okay, I may have got hooked into somewhere. I can certainly read it.
If you don't mind,
Council.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, not at all. So we do have a motion, as it was alluded to by Planner Weathers during his report. And I'll read it to council. The Renfrew Town Council approved the request for a CIP planning fee grant in the amount of $1,100 for the purpose of covering the fees otherwise payable for a zoning bylaw amendment application in relation to file D-14-139. And that was just the application we just spoke of.
Okay, mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Coulis. Again, any questions or comments? Councillor Hines.
Just a comment, Your Worship, that this is certainly a good use of this community improvement plan grant funds that we have each year to help folks develop their businesses and pay certain fees that are expected. And this is certainly going to enhance, as you have said, and as Councillor Sidney has said, downtown. And I really think that this is a wonderful use and certainly helps the applicant out in this case.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Thanks for Comer.
Okay, and I'm just going to put Reeve Emo in the waiting room just periodically here. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Whereas Renfrew Power Generation Incorporated, a company solely owned by the corporation of the town of Renfrew, has proposed to conduct dam number 1 repair and spillway gate project in 2021. Whereas this project is to finish work included but not completed during the construction of the Thomas Lowe generating station in 2015. And whereas the proxy shareholders have accepted the recommendations put forth by Renfrew Power Generation Incorporated and have authorized them to enter into final negotiations with a financial institution to obtain the $4 million loan to finance the project with an anticipated 15-year repayment schedule. Whereas TD Commercial Banking was presented Renfrew Power Generation Incorporated with a term sheet containing the conditions proceeding to the funding. And where therefore be resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Renfrew states as follows. That with respect to this new debt, it provides full guarantee to TD Bank covering the full duration of the contractual term. That is compliant with its legislated debt limit requirements inclusive of any guarantees provided under this term sheet agreement, that it has reviewed and approved Renfrew Power Generation Incorporated budget projections related to dam number 1 repair and Skillway Gate project. Over, please. Councillor Hines, seconded by Councillor Koulis. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. I guess you can let Revimo back in. Okay, welcome back. Okay, the bylaw 24/2021 being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a transfer payment agreement for the fire safety grant program between Her Majesty the Queen and the right of the province of Ontario, as represented by the office of the fire marshal of the town of Renfrew, be read a first time and deemed to have been read a second time. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Hines. Maybe Chief Welch would like to give a short report on this.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to summarize, in the middle of March, there was a notification provided by the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office of one-time grant funds available to all municipalities within the province of Ontario as a result of the increased pressures from the pandemic. The primary application intended for those funds was for the purposes of training or enhanced fire investigation or prevention activities through our, specifically with our vulnerable occupancies and making sure that they're up to compliance through routine remote inspections. The town of Renfrew was eligible for $6,600 worth of grant, and the opportunity for us to improve our training resource materials and provide some off-site training through regional training centers is the mode of which we have intended to apply these funds. A letter of intent was signed and returned to the Fire Marshal's office by the deadline date of the 19th of March after council's approval. And this is just the final step in that transfer process to agree to the funds.
Sorry. Any questions on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, the bylaw 24-2021 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a transfer payment agreement for the fire safety grant program between Her Majesty the Queen and the right of Ontario, as represented by the office of the fire marshal for the town of Renfrew, be read a third time and be passed. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Revimo. Again, any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. I'm sure that money will go to good use. Okay. That the minutes of the Diversity Ad Hoc Committee meeting held March 17, 2021 be received. Over, please. Councillor Sidney, seconded by Revimo. I'll turn it over to Councillor Sidney for the report.
Thank you. As you said, this is from March 17th. This was our first initial meeting. As everybody's aware that we are also seeking community representatives to sit on this ad hoc committee. So people had to put in their resume and applied. And basically this meeting was to meet with the chief librarian, Joanne from the rec department, Revimo and Councillor Jameson and I to go over the resumes, select the candidates, and basically book our next meeting, which is actually next Wednesday, with the entire ad hoc committee. So there really isn't a whole lot to report. It was just basically let's get this ball rolling and we had to meet to get that started. And the four individuals have been selected, and we meet next week.
Okay, good. Councillor Hines.
Yeah, just a quick question to you, Councillor Sidney, through you, the mayor. The number of people that you're looking for, and how many applications did you get?
We were looking for 4, and we received 4.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
Okay.
the great thing about the 4 people that did put their name forward and want to get involved are very passionate and very well suited, and I think are a great compliment to what we want to achieve. And we'll obviously be introducing them to council once we do the formal meeting and we get it all started. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think that it's going to be a really good group of representation, and we're very fortunate to have Joanne Caldwell from the rec department and the chief librarian as well, sitting as kind of advisors, using both facilities and programs and stuff that we can utilize both. So we want to make sure that we capture everything that Renfrew had. So it's going to be something that is unique, and we're kind of just sort of next week we'll kind of say where do we go from here, and then get the ball rolling. So it's going to be something.
Thanks for your time on that.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Is there any new or unfinished business? Councillor Hines.
Your worship, I was just wondering if it would be possible to ask Director Aslin to just maybe briefly speak to Stewart Street, just so folks know what's going on, and that they know that the construction has started and there are some delays, but truly the flag people there are awesome, and they try and keep the traffic moving, although that is such a busy road. I know I counted when I was going through, there were 45 people waiting this evening to go the other way. So, but I mean, they're doing a terrific job. So if he could speak to that, if possible.
Sure. Director Aslin, do you mind saying a few words?
No, thank you. Through the chair, certainly the Stewart Street project is a MTO connecting link project that the town was fortunate to receive the funding from the MTO for a good portion of the project, up to $3 million. And Kavanaugh Construction was awarded the project last fall. And they have started construction, and there will be one crew starting at the Bonnechere River Bridge end and doing sewer and water works. And that will be, they're just gearing up, doing exploratory work now, digging holes to make sure they know where the infrastructure is. And then once half loads are off, then a second crew will start at the north end of the project near Cal Tire. So they'll have 2 crews working from both ends of the project towards County Road 20 at Bruce Street. And the project is scheduled to complete at the end of October. And it's a very aggressive schedule. The contractor is to maintain traffic flow using flag persons to the fullest extent possible. So we have not permitted them to close the road at any time. Obviously, it's a very critical emergency route for fire, ambulance, police, and just even to travel across town. So yes, you're right. It's a very, very busy road. You know, upwards to 7,000 to 10,000 vehicles per day use that road, and the works will proceed very, very aggressively and very rapidly throughout the summer, and complete it again this year. And we'll clean up probably minor deficiencies the following year, and release holdbacks and what have you. At the same time, I'd be remiss to say the other major construction project that will be starting mid-June is the County Road 52, which is the Raglan Street South, heading out to Burnstown from the Hall Avenue intersection to the town boundary.
And that work will begin mid-June and be completed in October. And Kavanaugh is also doing that work. So there'll be lots of crews working at both ends of town. And those are the two major construction projects on the roads this year, in addition to Airth Boulevard. So if council have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from council? Okay, hearing none. I'd just like to say a wee bit about COVID. It's very alive in Renfrew County. I think again today we had something like 8 cases, according to what I read. Also on tonight's news, saying that actually I think a vaccine is now available in some of the drugstores in Renfrew County, and I think it's a limited supply, but some of them are there. So that's to take care of some people 55 and above. Again, I'd just like to emphasize to everyone here tonight and everyone listening, we need to adhere to the rules as best we can. And this is a very dangerous situation. We don't want to see it develop any further in Renfrew County. Dr. Cushman is very concerned about it. And I think he's right on the right track. And I have to say that I think the people we have in charge of doing the vaccines they're doing the very best they can with the limited supply we have. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Anything else? Okay, nothing. Okay, the next motion then is the Renfrew Town Council convene in closed session for the following matter pursuant to section 239 Municipal Act 2001. Pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. More specifically, to provide opportunity for staff to update council on the status of the following lands sale development files. O'Farrell Financial Development, O'Brien Road, Nautical Lands Group, NLG Development, Gibbons Road, and pursuant to section 239-2A of Municipal Act 2001, the security of the property of the municipality of the local board, more specifically, Renfrew Hydro Incorporated promissory note. We need a mover, please. Okay, moved by Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Sidney. All in favor? Okay, we are now in closed session. So Clerk Bulmer, I guess we can